June 6, 1944, Normandy. On the bloodiest stretch of the bloodiest beach, everything went wrong. The inexperienced 29th Infantry Division, promised a swift victory, found only chaos, crashing waves, relentless machine gun fire, and death everywhere. But amidst the carnage, one man refused to break. Brigadier General Norman "Dutch" Cota. He didn't lead from behind, he stood shoulder to shoulder with his men. And somehow, he turned a massacre into forward momentum. This is the story of courage, failure, and the turning point at Omaha Beach. By early 1944, it was clear. The war needed a shift in momentum. The Allies were bogged down in Italy, and Stalin was demanding the long-promised Second Front in the West. As early as 1942, it was obvious that a large-scale invasion of Western Europe would be necessary. But only after intense planning would such an operation become viable. Contrary to expectations, the Allies avoided the direct route across the Channel at Calais and instead used deception on a massive scale to mislead the enemy. Normandy became the target of the largest amphibious assault in military history. Not Calais, the logical choice, but a place Hitler considered less likely. Through an elaborate deception known as Operation Fortitude, the Germans were bombarded with fake signals, phantom armies, and false intelligence. The plan called for 5 landing zones: Utah and Omaha for the Americans, Gold, Juno, and Sword for the British and Canadians. But Omaha turned into a nightmare. The beach was lined with steep bluffs and cliffs that gave the German defenders near-perfect fields of fire. The Americans had to cross open sand, heavily mined and crisscrossed with steel barriers, barbed wire, and hidden bunkers. One choke point was especially critical, just outside the town of Vierzich-sur-Mer. The so-called Verville Draw was one of the few viable exits from the beach to the inland, and it was under tight enemy control. The men of the 29th Division assigned to this sector had to advance through a deadly bottleneck, fully exposed with no element of surprise and no mercy from the defenders. The defenses were brutal: concrete bunkers housing 88mm guns, machine gun nests, mortar pits, barbed wire, mines, and tank traps. 3 hardened German strong points, designated WN-71 through WN-73, covered the area with interlocking fields of fire. Into the heart of this inferno came the soldiers of the 116th Infantry Regiment, backed by US Army Rangers and amphibious tanks. The first minutes of the landing were a disaster. The massive naval and air bombardment had done little damage. Many of the German defenses remained fully operational. As the first landing craft hit the shore, they were immediately met with a storm of machine gun fire, grenades, and mortar rounds. Entire companies were nearly wiped out within minutes. Tanks that were supposed to provide cover sank in the surf or were destroyed right at the water's edge. Those few who made it to the beach alive found little to no shelter. The second wave was no better. Many boats missed their designated landing zones, troops were scattered across the shoreline, and confusion reigned. Lost and disoriented, many soldiers wandered aimlessly, pinned down on an open beach that had become a deadly maze. Company A landed in the sector known as Dog Green. Of 6 landing craft, 1 sank before reaching the shore, another was destroyed by artillery. The rest ran aground on sandbars. The men disembarked into chest-deep water, heavily loaded with gear, completely exposed, and were cut down before they even reached the beach. In just 15 minutes, Company A had been nearly wiped out. Among them were the Bedford Boys, a group of young men from a small town in Virginia. 20 of them were killed within minutes. The tanks fared little better. Many were swamped by waves before they could even fire a shot. Others were knocked out as soon as they reached land. Engineers tasked with clearing beach obstacles became immediate targets and suffered heavy losses. In the chaos, only a single path through the defenses was successfully cleared. The second wave added to the confusion. Landing craft overshot their targets, and units were hopelessly dispersed. Some soldiers crawled behind beach obstructions, others froze in place, unable to move under the relentless enemy fire. Smoke, fear, and disarray defined the shoreline. And then, through the gunfire and the carnage, one man appeared who would change everything: Brigadier General Norman Cota. While others sought cover, Cota walked calmly across the beach, exposed but determined. His voice cut through the noise, firm and defiant. "If we're going to die, let's die inland, not here on the beach." Those words lit a spark. Sergeant Francis Hooser would later say, "If he could walk around like that, then so could we." Cota wasn't the kind of leader to give orders from a distance. He drew his pistol, stepped to the front, and led by example. Turning to a nearby ranger unit, he barked the command, "Get up that hill and show us the way." That moment marked the beginning of the first real breakthrough of the day. The men began to scale the bluffs, assaulting enemy positions at close range, finally turning the tide. They climbed the slope through a shallow trench, dodging mines, snipers, and machine gun fire. Still, they pressed forward. At the top waited WN-70, one of the deadliest German positions on the beach. Under Cota's leadership, it was overrun. At the same time, other units were breaking through the cliffs. Rangers landing at Charlie Sector and companies from the 2nd Battalion were scaling the bluffs. The smoke that had caused chaos earlier now provided a thin veil of cover. One by one, enemy strong points fell. The German line was starting to crack. By 9 a.m., nearly 600 American soldiers had reached the high ground east of the draw. Cota himself had pushed ahead. When stragglers finally caught up, they found him standing casually, pistol in hand, asking, "Where the hell have you guys been?" He led the push toward the village of Vierville. Meanwhile, the USS Texas focused its fire on the remaining bunkers. Reinforcements moved in. And by 4 p.m., 9 hours behind schedule, the Vierville draw was finally in Allied hands. A breakthrough had been achieved. But the cost was staggering. Over 2,400 Americans were killed, wounded, or missing at Omaha Beach alone, the highest casualty rate of all 5 landing zones. Company A was nearly annihilated. Many never fired a single shot before falling. By day's end, Omaha Beach had been secured, but at an unimaginable price. Yet their sacrifice was not in vain. With this hard-fought victory, the liberation of Europe had begun. Today we remember their courage, their determination, and how close it came to failure before one man, General Cota, and countless ordinary soldiers turned the impossible into reality. For his actions, Cota was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross. He continued to lead, including through the brutal Hurtgen Forest campaign, before retiring as a Major General in 1946. He passed away in 1971 at the age of 78. But Cota never claimed the glory for himself. He later wrote, "Believe me, they were the only reason an old man like me could shake off fear and keep moving forward." If this story moved you, and you want to learn more about the turning points of World War II, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss any of our upcoming documentaries on courage, tragedy, and the people who shaped history.